If you didn't do it last episode when we reminded you, go to vote.gov and make sure you are currently registered. Check your registration before the end of September so you have plenty of time to fix it if it's gone. This podcast is brought to you by our awesome supporters at Patreon. Visit patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to find out how you can get more than 25 bonus episodes of this show, something like 35, nearly 40 hours of bonus content. You get access to all that archive stuff instantly, plus the 6 bonus episodes we put there every year going forward. That's patreon.com/dissectingthe80s to learn more. Welcome to Dissecting the 80s. I am Trip Leno, one half of the Mega Podcasting Powers, and with me, as always, the Nancy Drew to my Frank and Joe Hardy, the Macho Man Drew.
Andrew Leno. Honestly, I didn't read a lot of those. I watched the CW-ified Nancy Drew. I didn't watch the CW-ified Hardy Boys.
There's like a Nancy Drew movie with
it's Sophia Lillis. I remember you telling me you liked it.
Wait, what's the one with? Isn't there one with Emma Roberts?
Well, there's that one too, but that one I've seen that one.
Is that one bad?
Yeah, it's very like I'm a girl.
I remembered liking one. Okay, I remembered liking one, but I didn't remember.
No, you liked the Sophia Lillis one because it was like an intrepid girl detective rather than like I wear plaid mini skirts.
Yeah. Okay. It is pretty. I remember thinking it was pretty solid. It actually led me to reading the original Nancy Drew book, which I think is better than the Hardy Boys books.
The Cuckoo Clock is the first one, isn't it? Or is that just the most famous one?
Yes. No, that's the first one. This is a sort of adjacent to that genre.
For most of it feels more like a teen spy thriller. Than a horror movie. That's not a complaint. That's just a statement of
fact. I enjoyed this quite a bit, but it is a wild thing. So we watched Scream for Help, and you know what that means.
We gotta go back. We gotta go dissect the 80s. It's your Nancy Drew as protagonist. I'm just gonna be Nancy Drew as protagonist.
When the mega powers explode.
I'm talking about the 80s. Oh, yeah.
Great Scott.
Cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
Mega powers, yeah!
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
I can't remember if listener Tom sent us a voicemail, so if he did, I will drop that right here.
Gentlemen, it's Tom from Patreon. I'm pleased to give you guys the opportunity to watch the 1984 film Scream for Help. It's one I've wanted you guys to do since I started supporting the pod, and I'm really glad this is finally the year. I'm so happy that you guys can bring more visibility to this film. No one would call it a classic. I never really hear it talked about very much, and it's probably rightfully so. But it's a wild ride, and I think ultimately a fun experience. I first saw Scream for Help in 1986. I was spending the night at my friend's house. He had recorded this movie and Crush Groove off HBO, and we watched both of those like over and over again, like for the rest of the year. Good times, man. I'm really not sure why I like this movie so much. It's pretty bewildering. I mean, the tone's weird. It wants to be like a drama, a horror movie, film of the week. But mostly it's just over the top, and it feels like a soap opera. But it ends up being hilarious. Also, for some weird reason, half of Led Zeppelin does the soundtrack. I guess the director lived next door to John Paul Jones or something. I don't know. But even with that pedigree, the music is wildly out of place. It's just not really good. But I don't know. It just adds to the charm of this thing. Really, it's probably the first film I watched where I realized that I can enjoy something because it's so bad that it's good. And that's probably why I like it. That and nostalgia, probably. I mean, just wait until I make you guys watch Crush Groove next year or something. Anyway, thanks again for the opportunity to support you guys. I always enjoy your work, and I look forward to supporting you for another year. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Tom, well, either way, thank you, Tom, whether you left a voicemail or not, because a solid recommendation of your listener request one pick.
And this is available on YouTube. We're not going to link it because we don't want to get taken down. Not that I think anyone's paying attention to this copyright.
Yeah,
but
no one is.
If you if you YouTube search "Scream for Help" full movie, it'll come up.
Yeah, there's apparently a couple versions of it uploaded to YouTube. The one I think is like a little butchered. It's like an edited cut of this movie,
edited for TV time.
maybe the studio. I honestly don't know, but the Tom who sent this in was like, make sure you watch the good one. Like, don't watch the one on YouTube. And then he was like, actually, I found this one on YouTube. That's the correct one. So he sent it along. But yeah, it is easily available there. Funny enough, a movie that didn't get released on DVD but got a Blu-ray release, which
that's because Scream Factory does everything. I feel like
it's true. It's just unusual to see.
They're the kind of I hesitate to say they're the hipster nonsense of horror movie Blu-rays.
You can call them that. I was gonna say, hey, don't say that, but that I have asked many times for screeners and never gotten one. So
fuck them.
Yeah. This movie has a truly wild opening line, and the whole time I obviously, as a big fan of Goodfellas, was thinking about that movie because this has a lot of narration in it.
It does, yeah.
Normally a crutch, and it probably could be argued as a crutch here, but the conceit of it being sort of a diary she's speaking to kind of works for me, and like
I didn't find it distraction. I mean, I know I'm not a person that loathes narration, but I didn't mind this one.
Yeah, and I felt like it was like logical that this girl, would have a diary, and then this like that it all just flowed very well for me from that perspective. But the opening line is basically, it's been several months and I'm pretty sure my stepfather's trying to kill me. I didn't get that quite right.
She says, I think, so it's more to the effect of, my name is Christy Cromwell. I live in Schenectady. I live in upstate New York.
New Rochelle,
New York. My mom divorced my dad, and I have a stepfather, and he's trying to kill my mother. And then it's like the title screen. It's like, it's a little innocuous. I was like, oh, this is an interesting little thing. I was like, ooh, Cromwell, like Halloween Town. And then I was like, oh, okay, hard left at Albuquerque, cool. Or Albany in this case, hard left at Albany.
Yes. She's got a Mountie on her desk, which I was like, this must have been a Canadian production, because how else would this exist?
Well, it says, Wikipedia says it's a British horror movie, which is confusing.
I think it's that it was actually, you're right. Yeah. Sorry. I was building to a thing and I forgot it midstream. So I'm glad you said that. So Michael Winter, who directed this, I think that's the right name. Winter, not Winter. Michael Winter. He also directed Death Wish 1, 2, and 3. We only did Death Wish 4, right?
We did the fourth one.
Okay.
I have no interest in doing other Death Wishes.
I think Death Wish 3 is the one we watched, the one where he like goes to the rough side of town and it's like there's
Aren't
like a war in the streets. So
I thought that all of them were white man goes to not white part of town and kills people.
So the first one, I can't remember if it's not white people that he's killing. They killed his wife. But in the subsequent sequels, like it's kind of the same thing as Predator 2, which I recently watched. I watched that and the Alien vs. Predators.
I enjoy Predator 2.
franchise.
I don't think it's everyone's favorite, but I enjoy Predator 2.
But it is like wild how racist that movie is, of just like the part of the town where white people don't live is literally Fallujah mid-Iraq war. Jesus, I got that all wrong. But you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Our endless Middle East wars. It's like just full-on shotguns, machine guns, and bombs going off in the streets, like two sides openly at war. And the one of the Death Wishes does the exact same thing. So I couldn't remember if that was the one we watched or not. Anyway, that's irrelevant. This movie was written by Tom Holland, who not that one, not Spider-Man, the fourth, but rather the guy who
the third, Toby, Andrew, Tom.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless you're counting some like 1976 version of Spider-Man that I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's another one in there. I mean, also the voice actors, but yes, Tom Holland, Spider-Man the third. My apologies. But he wrote and directed Fright Night, and also wrote the original Child's Play, or co-wrote the original Child's Play.
So two big things, two very big things.
Yeah, Fright Night. I like Fright Night a lot. But Winter is a British man, and so they filmed a bunch of exteriors in New Rochelle, and then they filmed all the interiors in Britain. So that's probably why this is called a British production. So, yeah. But we start with there's the girl rides home from school on her bike, and we're going to see a lot of this bike in this movie.
That is my one complaint. It's too much biking.
There's a lot of bicycling.
It's like Charlie. Like when you go back and watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You forget how much running there is in that first movie from
a lot of
1970,
running,
whatever.
Lot of running. Yeah,
it's like 35% running.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not wrong. Also, adding to the Britishness of this film, the composer is former Led Zeppelin bassist John Paul Jones.
He makes some choices.
He makes a lot of choices, and we can talk about those.
I have to talk about it at the top because it is borderline distracting, the score for this film.
It is. They have like 3 different modes. There's like a thriller, there's like a rom-com, and there's like a wacky comedy. And all those
and those aren't even what I got. I got there's a thriller.
Yeah.
There's a 70s cop show.
Sure, yeah.
And there's like a 1950s Hollywood sweeping orchestra romance score.
Yeah. There's sweeping strings. It's the Royal Philharmonic BT.
Oh yeah, but it's that like that classic like yes, like that vibe is the romance score, which I think it's like a Romeo and Juliet opera or ballet. I think
maybe I don't know. I didn't. I mean, I recognized what you were getting at, but not the specific thing you hummed.
Yeah, it is buck wild, this score. It's all very good music. I will like if you're just listening to the album, you're like, wow, this is great music. But like in context, it's kind of like
what's this doing here?
These are choices.
Yeah. So we start with her pedaling home on the bike, and it turns out that a guy from the power company.
Before that, we meet the stepdad in question. And she's like, isn't he good looking? And I'm like, I thought you were talking to your diary, but also yes. Yes, he is.
He is that sort of 80s handsome guy energy for sure.
He looks like the guy handsome teen in Sleepwalkers. The bad guy.
Oh boy, yeah, you've missed me. This is like the 5th reference to Sleepwalkers, I feel like, in recent memory, and I don't know that
or in general.
From you, and I'm like not sure that I ever saw I owned Sleepwalkers.
No, you did. We watched it together. It was one of those Buck Wild movies we watched.
Okay,
and I've only seen it once or twice, but I've seen like YouTube videos making fun of it because it is hilarious, but.
Well, maybe we should do an episode on Sleepwalkers.
I'll do a Sleepwalkers episode. Yeah, he's got the blonde center part feathered flow back.
Yeah. So anyway, we find out that a guy from the power company was killed in the basement while working on the box, the junction box where all the power of the house goes.
Fuse box.
And
are they the same thing?
I believe both those. I believe both those things are true, but I'm not sure. I'm not an electrician. So she runs over to the best friend's house, all concerned about this. She goes in the house without knocking, which I had a friend or two where this was okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I could name 1 or 2 friends at young age that I might be able to.
It got to where it's like if I had declared I was coming over, it would be like knock knock knock, open the door crack. Hey, it's Trip, I'm coming in.
Yeah,
and then come in. Not just like walk into the house, but announce your presence. But she not only goes in the house, she goes up to the best friend's room where she is in the middle of having sex and whips the door open and is like, you won't believe what happened. And she's like, hello, getting down here.
We haven't had nudity this gratuitous on the pod in a very long
ridiculous. Time. It's wild. I couldn't believe, later in the movie, our main character, Christy, there's obviously the scene where she was supposed to do nudity and she was like, oh, no, thank you. And they somehow were like, all right, that's fine. Shocking to me that they didn't force this as part of the casting.
I mean, she probably was like, I'm not going to act after this. What are you going to do? Blackball me? I don't want to do this anymore. But it's funny. The whole time I was watching her, I kept thinking she looked like the woman from Charmed that isn't Rose McGowan or Alyssa Milano.
Okay. Not going to be able to help you with this one.
But the name's not important. But when I say the women from Charmed and I say it's not Alyssa Milano and it's not Rose McGowan, there's a third one who's not the famous one.
What I can picture is the poster, which in my head has Rose McGowan. Who was the other person you just said? Alyssa Milano, and then just a black outline of a human. But yes.
So for you, it's who's that Pokemon?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's that Charmed witch?
Yes. So I can't help you on that one, but I do acknowledge that is a show and that there were 3 women.
Or it's not, and the one that's not Shannon Doherty. because there were
Yeah.
4 ultimately.
I did not realize that Rachel Kelly, the lead of this, did not act again.
No, she didn't.
I wonder what that came from.
And she's perfectly passable, and she's adorable.
Yeah. There's like no reason why she shouldn't have done 6 mediocre direct-to-video horror films.
Or even TV movies, like just fall into
Sure,
the movie
yeah.
of the week trope. Are you Googling the Charmed Witches?
I am. I have to know now. You've ruined my brain. I'm just
Holly
seeing Shannon
something.
Doherty. Holly Marie Combs.
Yes.
Piper Halliwell.
It's that one. It's
180
Holly Marie
episodes.
Combs. I think this lead actress looks like a
Okay.
young Holly Marie Combs.
So was Shannon Doherty on it for like a little while?
She was on it for
and then
2 seasons, I think.
And they were like, no thanks.
So
And then they brought in
the
Rose
story
McGowan.
is, I only know this because Shannon Doherty just passed away.
It goes from. Wait, really? When did that happen?
Yeah, Shannon Doherty just passed away.
Did that happen like today?
No, like a month ago.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
And apparently, so it was originally Holly, Shannon.
Jesus, 53. That's way too young.
Yeah, it was originally Holly, Shannon, and the one that's not Alyssa Milano, or maybe it was Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
Anyways, the story is that Shannon Doherty and Alyssa Milano didn't get along on set, and so Alyssa was like, "I'm becoming a star. You got to fire her." And so
Yeah.
they brought in Rose McGowan and got rid of Shannon Doherty, and Shannon
Got
Doherty
it.
always like resented her, I guess, which obviously.
Yeah, why wouldn't
And to the point where I love this. You don't hear too many of this, but like I love this. In her will, Shannon Doherty specified people who were not allowed to come to her funeral.
Jesus
We
Christ.
need more of that in the world.
So she tells the naked best friend, who is like not even that phased by this. Like she gets up fully nude and starts dressing in front of her friend.
And like I understand that best friends are gonna have different levels of comfort and whatever.
Yeah.
But like her boyfriend essentially pulls out of her.
Yes.
Even though like this just happened, and there's no sense of
Yeah.
like, hey, we were in the like, hey, I'm gonna cover up like a thing.
We need a minute. Go
There
close
was none
the
of that.
door.
She just like flounces her boobs around and then gets out of bed
Yes.
and just like toplessly. Basically, everything feels like she toplessly does this. She toplessly
Yes.
does that.
Yeah, the stage directions were like breasts are cattywampus.
Breasts akimbo.
It's just no shirt, no bra, no nothing. Just everybody's out to play. And she starts explaining like, oh, this is my stepdad. He tried to kill my mom. He killed the power guy by mistake. And she does a full name on the boyfriend. She's like, he's like, I don't think that's necessarily the truth. And she's like, I'm telling the truth, Josh Daly. And
Several times she
thought
says his full name.
Yes, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I had 1 or 2 friends in high school who were like, everybody called them by their full name. I never knew quite why or how it
usually
started.
like a
but it
rhythm
was
thing,
like-
I feel like.
Yeah. This person I'm thinking of in particular is 2 one-syllable names, and so everybody used both of the names.
Tom
like,
Hanks.
It would, Mike Smith. Yeah, I'm not going to say their name, but. She calls him by his full name, but then later she also uses full names for other characters, and I was like, "Is this the actress?" Like she's like, "I read the script and I know everyone's names."
I mean,
like,
I
where
have
is
to
this
say, I appreciate it because
she was like, "Look, someone has to do the novelization, and I'm gonna help."
I will get and also buy credit.
Yes.
But I appreciate that, and because in low budget movies, all the characters blend together. So when you get first
Yes.
and last names, boy,
It
is
is
that helpful.
Yeah. And the other thing I like with this Josh Daly performance and actor, this motherfucker is slamming peanut butter crackers in the scene. Like, you see people eating a movie, and it's like they make a big show of dipping, but it
Or they
just
break off a
barely
corner
grazes.
and like pretend to put it in the mouth.
This dude's like, there's no craft services on this movie. I'm going full Ritz with a full tablespoon plus of peanut butter, and and he has like a chipmunk-sized wad in his cheek of peanut butter cracker.
He got
not
boned in continuity because he
Absolutely.
never ate peanut butter after this movie. 100%.
he probably ate 3 full jars of peanut butter trying to do all the shoots. The takes for these scenes, not the shoots for these scenes.
I'm trying to remember what actor it was, but it was like someone relatively famous, who was like, yeah, in the beginning of my career, I did this movie where we were eating, and no one told me not to eat, So I was shoveling pasta in my mouth, and the craft service guy was like, "You're gonna have fun," or whoever the continuity guy was like, "You're gonna have fun with that." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you now have to eat that same amount of pasta at the same speed for the next 2 days."
John Hodgman has an anecdote. I just read a couple of his books, and he has an anecdote about the same thing with cheese balls. And he was like,
"Wow!"
He had the bit in the scene is one of those like big clear plastic tubs of cheese balls, and so he just is like shoveling them in because he's
that would have been me.
Cheese
I would have done it.
Yeah,
like you could. I wouldn't. It would have been a reflex. My brain would just be doing it.
That was exactly what he said. Basically, he's like, I couldn't turn off the part of me that was like a delicious cheese ball snack. And then I had to do it for 2.5 hours. That I was just like, and then they would come and top off the tub for continuity. So it was like, is it Sisyphus? There's like some
Sisyphus is you push the thing up the hill. You might be thinking of Prometheus's liver. It's just replenishing.
Because I was like, there's definitely something where it like gets withered away to nothing and then whoop and then starts all over again.
That's why the kids on Riverdale all had spit buckets they all had a spit bucket next to them in the booth in the diner booth so they could take a bite of burger and then bleh.
Yeah, you have to.
And all their milkshakes were Greek yogurt. That was when I learned that. I don't know why it threw me off so much, but I was like, that's a bummer that they were just like pretending to slurp.
I don't think I would want to drink that much Greek yogurt either. I don't want to eat that much Greek yogurt either. Like,
no,
the
idea was it was just that it wouldn't melt, so you could take a sip or whatever. But I'm like, that sounds so gross.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just like housing these crackers, and then they cut to a different angle of the same conversation, and he like clearly it's caught up to him because he's doing the like small pieces bites, but they clearly were like, you have to keep eating with gusto, and so he's like taking little bites but still like nonstop hand to mouth. I thought it was hilarious.
It's very funny in this scene. They kind of lay some exposition out, and it comes out that Christy, our heroine, found love letters from her stepfather to her mother that were mailed while her mother was married to her dad.
Yes.
And she's like, he's a terrible person, and I just need to, and mom's going to see that. And I was like, yeah, but you know that she was the one getting the letters, right? Like, she was part of the cheating thing.
Yeah, and it's like, I think in her mind, she's like, if I call her out on this, it will make a difference. But I'm like, I'm not sure that's true.
I don't either. And also, it's a big leap from, you and your mom had an affair and ended up marrying the guy to that man is a murderer.
Right, yeah.
Clearly morally dubious because of the affair part, but it is quite a leap to murder.
Yeah. So she decides to follow the stepdad to see what he's getting up to. And I actually thought this was kind of clever where she's trying to chase him on her bike. And at certain points he loses her. And so in the following day, she like goes to the point where she lost him, picks up the trail again, and then goes until she loses him. And then she picks up the trail. And so it takes her several days to follow him in his car.
She skips so much school and it's never talked about.
She really does skip a lot.
The truancy office would be at the house.
Yes. Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am. Your daughter hasn't been in school in 3 weeks. But I also love, so she's like looking in the window and this woman is lighting her stepdad's cigarette and kind of sitting on his lap. It's like, she's being kind of sexually aggressive toward him, but like no sex is happening yet. And then when the girl gets spotted and has to run away, Christy is her name, right? Yeah. She steps backwards into an empty aquarium.
I thought it was a fish tank.
Yes, it is. And it's like, there's no explanation as to why there's an empty fish tank in the yard of this house.
Well, I think
why
it's supposed
so
to be
close
like
to the house.
Because it's like far set back from the road. I think it's supposed to be a junkie yard, but they didn't put a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah.
Not junkie
but
as a yard full of junk.
Like a car up on blocks sort of situation.
Yeah. But the grass should have been browner.
Yeah, the only thing, give me a couple of tires. The only thing is this aquarium.
It's a weird choice, but also she is a very bad tailor, Tailer, because she's like not hiding the fact that she is pedaling and huffing and puffing
openly
directly
in the
behind
same lane as the vehicle.
Yes, and the whole chasing the car on the bike felt so video game like. Honestly, even like a Nancy Drew video game where it's like, I'll start at the same place. I'll start at this place tomorrow and catch him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I literally wrote like, this is Nancy Drew ass bike chase.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just so very reminiscent of like kid detective stuff. But she gets home, she tells her mom, what happened. The stepdad comes in and he has some story about it was like a test drive and blah blah blah. So she goes upstairs.
She also walks in. So she doesn't know that she was spotted. She gets scared and runs away.
That's true.
And then she walks in the house like doing like a cartoon. I got caught. Like,
yes.
I'm like, what is happening? Wait to do that.
And then she's upstairs in her huff, and her shirt just inexplicably says muffs in huge letters.
Oh, I missed that. This is where she had shoes on the bed, so I was too distracted by that.
Yeah. Pure chaos move there. But the mom comes in. She's like, Mom, this guy's a bad man. You're getting wronged here. The mom's like, no, you don't understand. And then she's like, no, I saw him in the basement. He was why that guy died. And she's like, that's not why he was in the basement. And he comes in and is like, would you like me to show you? And they go downstairs, and there's a present there for, I guess her birthday is coming up soon. Although we don't get to the birthday, so I don't know how far apart we are from this birthday. This to me was like a Chekhov's birthday, where it's like, okay, there's something happening, but like the plan has to be done on her birthday because of X, Y,
when
Z
she turns
reason,
18, then she's no longer something.
Yeah, not a part of the movie at all. But we do get this bike, and I was like, okay, well, like we're gonna have bike related shenanigans later, and we see a lot of like real Hardy Boys ass shit of like, he sawed almost all the way through the post so it would break at the right time, and he sabotaged this pin in the car, he did this and that, and it's like, okay, surely there's going to be a scene where this girl is careening downhill on a bicycle that's like the chain exploded,
Goldberg
right?
ice skating.
Yeah. Nope. Never comes up. Not a problem. The bike is just a nice new bike.
Christy also confronts him about trying to kill her mom alone in the house. I was like,
yes,
I know you're smarter than this.
Yes. I also love, this is the first time we see these, and it happens a bunch of times in the movie, but we do these insane close-ups of Christy's face that are like cutting back and forth between the things she's looking at and then her face, and it's like tighter and tighter and tighter close-ups until it's just basically her eyes filling the whole screen, and it's her like investigating with her eye movements and like slight turns of the head. It's like the worst version of a Psych, where it's like, or a Monk or whatever, where you see the like oddball
even worse because what she's looking at isn't always clear what it's supposed to be.
Right.
It'll be like a phone on the wall. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to get out of that?
Yeah. So she's like very clearly investigating her with her eyes here.
Her best friend isn't at school the next day, but her boyfriend, Josh Daly, is, and
Josh Daly is there.
Is flirting with a girl, and so she goes up to him and is like, hey, I need you in the car with me while I drive my mom's car to tell my stepdad. If you don't do it, then I'll tell my best friend you were flirting with someone else. And I was like, well, you should probably tell your best friend that regardless. Like,
yeah. If
you're a good friend, you should say it anyways. But okay.
Yeah, although, there's always the messenger getting shot in those situations.
That's fair. And she is a comically bad driver.
Really,
like
really
a 100-year-old dog with a smoothie who's texting to steal John Mulaney's joke.
This is a scene out of like a kid's comedy where grandma has to drive the Maserati,
or where they get the one kid that they're like, oh, my older sister has her license, and then she gets behind the wheel and she's like, I don't know how to drive.
Yeah. So they're following the affair partner, and about halfway through
the
this,
Starsky and Hutch, like,
yeah.
That was People's Court, I guess. I don't know what I was.
That was definitely People's Court. You just did. But they realize the car is sabotaged, and so like the accelerator pedal fully breaks off. So it's just like the arm that it attaches to,
like a Cybertruck. The gas pedal is in the floor and trapping you going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. And so she's like trying to push the brake and nothing's happening. And what I couldn't get over during this whole thing is like
how chill they are.
Do the like, yeah, well, like they're weaving in and out of traffic. They're like careening around
because they're cutting
corners
from inside to outside. So the outside, they clearly got a stunt driver to like weave through cars and do cool shit. And then inside, it's just like her very casually wiggling the wheel back and forth as the as the green screen or the projected wall goes by, and they're just like The car's out of control.
And they don't even have her like doing rapid horn beeps. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm in a situation where my car is stuck accelerating,
I'm laying on that horn.
So that people are like, I don't know what this maniac is doing, but I'm getting out of their way.
Yeah.
You know? So they're like careening along. He's like, you got to turn the car off. And so he turns the car off, and then she's like, now the steering doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, man, the car probably has power steering.
Turn off the fucking car.
Yeah, it's like you should have put it into neutral, which is like on the shift, the gear shift. That would have been a move. But somehow when he pushes the pedal, it's able to brake, and they do like a Blues Brothers 180 spin, and they kind of casually bump another car.
And smash cut to a mechanic, and the mechanic is being shady. And at first I was like, oh, did he do this?
I 100%
did he teach the dad how to do this?
Yeah.
And instead he
this is Jerry, the dirty mechanic. You need to kill your wife and make it look like an accident? Come on down. I'll teach you how to do it.
But instead what I think it is that all the other mechanics are dirty in the shop.
Oh.
Because that's why he's sheepish, like, I've never seen one of these break before in my life. Because she's like, he said the carburetor pin broke, I think. And she goes, oh, well, how? And he's like, I don't know. I've never seen one break before. And I was like,
and then she keeps the pin for evidence, and it never comes up again.
She drops it. And they like make a point to show you her dropping it, and clearly it's stuck to her hand. She like opens her, it's a close up of her opening her hand, and clearly the spring just like stuck to her skin, and she had to like awkwardly tilt her hand back in an uncomfortable, unrealistic way, and then it falls.
Yes.
Because she gets home and she hears her mom having sex and runs toward it.
So loud. These two are full on fucking. This is not just like a casual afternoon dalliance. This is like sweaty.
Yeah, this is put on my special music. It's Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, the Christie's at school. I took the day off. Let's get down to
Christy runs towards the sex sounds. It's not even like, oh, is it like, could it be like something bad's happening to mom sounds? It's like, no, this is sex sounds.
Well, I thought that it was so weird. It's like, oh, she must think he's with the other woman.
Oh,
she's gonna like catch them in the act. But then it's like very clearly her mother's voice yelling Paul, and I was just like, what are you doing now, you sicko?
Yeah.
I also thought this was going to end with Paul like making eye contact with her in the middle of this.
I fully thought the same fucking thing. I was like, we're gonna get him looking up through the crack in the door, and this is gonna turn into a Lolita movie.
Yeah, yeah. So
I also need to say real quick, the poster for this movie is like her eyes through like Venetian blinds, and like three shadowy figures on the bottom, and it says like anxious or scared. Is it real or did she make it all up? Something like that. Like, so I was like, oh, maybe this movie is gonna be like kind of a is she crazy? Is she not crazy? They've done that kind of thing before in movies.
Sure.
So that's why I like didn't read ahead purposely. Like once I saw the poster, I was like, okay, I'll just buckle in for the ride.
Mm-hmm. Which is the way you should watch this movie, by the way. If you're at with us until this way and you're like, I'm on the fence, go. I recommend you watch this.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes. It's very enjoyable.
So she's like, I gotta follow I gotta follow the lady.
She goes to school only to skip school again.
Yes. She pops in for first period and then
grabs her best friend and is like, hey, you need to drive me somewhere. And her best friend is clearly trying to tell her she's pregnant.
Yeah, it's so obvious what the problem is with this girl. It's like in the car, she's like, I gotta tell you something. She's like, not right now. I gotta focus on following this lady.
I have to tell you something really important. But I'm like, it was kind of implied that the sex we saw her having was like one of her first times having sex was sort of a rough implication. Yeah. And this is like, what, 2 days later? It seems very early for a doctor.
No, actually, the girl, the best friend character when they have their conversation, she's like, you're just a virgin. And she's like, well, you're not that much experience. She's like, we've been having sex for a while.
Oh,
so I assume it's been a little bit. Yeah. They follow this woman to the motel. Not very well, but she doesn't notice.
And this is where I said so far this feels more like a higher stakes teen spy movie than a horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It honestly kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the scenes in Freaks and Geeks where the one character finds out his dad is cheating on his mom, and he like, because there's like a garage door opener that doesn't belong, and he like pedals around town with the garage door opener until he finds out whose house it is. And it's like this really sad moment when he finally sees it work on a different house. And it's like very akin to that, except she's like, I know that. Yeah, it's a really, really sad, but great scene, but it's very, very heartbreaking. But it's like sort of the same energy that she's like, I just got to get my mom out of this. And it's not like, oh man, this guy's a murderer, because that's what she keeps saying. It's like, she's trying to kill my mother. But the vibe of her energy and searching isn't like, this guy's going to kill my mom. It's like, this guy's not right for her.
Yeah. So she keeps snooping through this love motel. And finally sees her stepdad with his side piece, and she's just sitting there watching. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? Like,
right. We do get one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a movie, which is the side piece does like a sexy unzip down her chest and her stomach, normal. And then the shirt she's wearing has sleeve zips where it's like, the sleeve.
Yeah, it's for like typically motorcycle jackets.
But she has to do like a sexy sleeve unzip from her wrist to her elbow, which is like, she does
it's not
it.
Even
she
the
pulls
elbow.
it off.
It's just like halfway down the arm.
Halfway, yeah. But she's doing like a, hey, big boy, giving him the eyes as she goes like, zzz, so she can take her jacket off, because it's like her chest is out, but the sleeves can't come off. So she has to be like, zzz. And it's like, well, why didn't you start there? You did the big reveal and then the warm-up act.
She also her bra is also way too small for her. Like,
yes,
when she takes off the jacket, her boobs are already like spilling out.
She's exploding out of what she's wearing. Yeah,
wild. So she goes. Yeah. So Christy goes to get her best friend. She's like, "You have to watch too."
No, she says, why do I have to come? Because they're fucking.
Because they're fucking. And I need you to corroborate when I tell my mom.
Which is honestly kind of smart. I kept being like, girl, get a goddamn camera.
The whole time. I was like, someone has a Polaroid. Go flirt with some AV nerd.
It doesn't even need to be a Polaroid. Just take the family camera and go get the film developed. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But when they catch, Paul sees him, he's getting ice at the ice machine, which is, I also find very funny that it's like, 90 seconds ago, we saw this woman take her top off, and he's like, just hold on a minute, baby, I gotta get some ice.
Yeah, like, unless you're using that ice for something other than drinks, why do you need ice right now?
Right. So, or it's like the bit in Halloween where the guy is finished in 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think, 40 seconds is, I think, the exact time.
I timed it in our episode. Hop on the Patreon and you can find the exact time of it in Halloween.
And so we get another Starsky and Hutch chase music as they're running through the woods.
They do the full Ferris Bueller run. They like knock a guy in his backyard. They like knock his groceries. Yeah. It's honestly, yeah. And then and then we get to like, let's catch our breath in the woods. And she like, her friend is so distraught. She needs to like put her arm around her. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And she's like, Paul's? And it's like, damn, girl, what do you think your friend is up to?
Yeah, also, like, come on and be a little gracious.
Yeah. But also, like, this girl is like 17 years old and 4 weeks pregnant, and she's like unable to run a little bit. They got to like put an arm around her and carry her. It's like, I've been around pregnant people. You're not that pregnant.
You're not incapacitated 4 weeks into a pregnancy. Basically, the best friend's like, I'm pregnant. Or as Nick Kroll, there's Nick Kroll show, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And then immediately gets hit by a car with some of the best dummy work I've ever seen.
It's amazing. We see this car like slip around a corner and track them down. And it's like, back in the day, this is ridiculous. If you do it now and it's like an electric car, they had to put this. I've been talking to people about this because it really drives me insane. I walk a lot. And so I'm at pedestrian level as cars pass me. And in order to make it so that electric cars aren't silent, they have added like sounds to them. But instead of picking something normal,
they just put a pipe whistle on the exhaust pipe.
No. Hyundai and Honda, and I think one other one, have this sound that I truly have compared to the wailing of lost souls. It sounds like this when they go by. I'm not. If I can find the real sound, I'll put it in here. But I texted a video of this to our family chat because nobody was believing me. But it's like, and And it's like, it truly sounds like the wailing of lost souls.
Don't remember this.
It's crazy. And so I was thinking about that, like how much worse it would be as a pedestrian to, instead of it like, that you get hit, it's like, because it's like, oh, they're coming for me. It's like the fucking little goblin guys in Ghosts.
It's the black shadows and ghosts.
Yes. That's what it's like now when you get hit by an electric vehicle.
I mean, the alternative, or you hear the screaming of the driver because they can't make the car stop because it's a cyber truck. Their fingers, have been chopped off in the door.
Just
their other fingers chopped off
like
in the stupid
Python.
trunk thing. The pedal wedged underneath the floorboard, and it's
All
just
over.
careening down the hill.
Yeah, and
with
like,
shattered
the dummy
windows.
The dummy work here is so exquisite because it's like very clearly they had the actress stand right up at the bumper when the car wasn't moving and do the big like wide-eyed oh my god, and then the dummy goes like up and over and down just like
And
all
it kind
over
of
the
also like
place.
catches on the side of the car.
Yes.
It's
It
wild.
looks awful. Yeah, I mean it looks awful as in like it would be horrific to see, not like it looks good on film.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh, wow, they really just introduced his best friend, made her pregnant, only to kill her.
Yeah, it honestly reminded me of like old British safety films. Like I don't know if you've ever seen these. But
yes.
there's ones that are like there's a bunch narrated by Donald Pleasance in particular. But I tried to figure out if he had done any of those because like Michael Winner was around at the right time for that to be a thing. I couldn't find any evidence of it, but it felt exactly like old British safety films of like don't play in the street, children.
Yeah,
I'll
or
come
the
for
train
you.
tracks aren't for playing, where the train
Yes,
follows the
yes.
kids home.
Yes.
Although,
So we go to the hospital.
I have to talk about while we're on the subject of safety videos.
Okay.
I don't think we've talked about it before. Maybe we have. If we have, sorry. Did I ever show you the Cats PSA, like the musical Cats?
Yes, it's horrifying.
Yeah. Cats have 9 lives. Children have only 1. Make sure they're buckled so they don't become just a memory. Cue Memory the
Yes.
song.
Yeah. Terrifying. So we go to the hospital. We get one of the funniest ADR lines I've ever heard.
I had to pause. Are you talking about the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Everything about this scene was so funny. I had to
Yes.
pause the movie. His delivery,
It's like-
his body language, the way they thought that this is how doctors do this in a hospital.
Yes. It is honestly akin to when you would see like comedians dub voice tracks over old stuff. That's how out of sync.
I
this
wasn't. I
feels.
was less about the dub and more just like
No, I'm saying what the words that come out of his mouth are so insane that it's like a comedian was like, what would be the fun? Like we have this loop of a doctor talking to 2 people. What's the funniest thing he could say? And
he walks out and goes,
I'm sorry,
Mrs. Ross, your daughter died."
yeah,
That's not how doctors do that.
yeah. There's not an ounce of like the hand on the shoulder. I'm going to give you bad news vibes.
I'm so
It's
sorry.
just
We've
like,
done everything we could. Unfortunately, there were
Yes.
complications. Just
Yes. Like, she did.
what's wrong with you? I say you. She did.
It's like, what the hell, man?
And then the mom collapses before taking an Uber out of the fucking movie. We see
Yeah.
Christy and then the boyfriend over her shoulder, and then the stepdad comes over and goes, "She's dead." And I was like, "Yeah, we all heard it." The doctor,
Yeah.
the doctor wasn't quiet.
He came into that waiting room and was like, yo, that girl's dead.
Who are the parents of the dead girl?
She's like way dead. There's parts of her that are
Actually,
supposed to be on the inside.
Honey,
They're on the
she's double
outside.
dead because she was actually pregnant at the time she died.
Her liver ejected from her body. It's crazy. He says, thanks for not telling your mom that I'm cheating on her. And she's like, she wouldn't believe me anyway. And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's just like, what the fuck is happening here?
So Chrissy's questioned by the police chief and is like, he was trying to kill me. My mom's car got sabotaged.
Yes.
I couldn't
She
read
like
my note. I
explains
thought it
the
said
pin
movie
that's
car.
broken.
And I was like, what the
Oh.
Mom's car got sabotaged. She keeps telling everyone my stepdad's trying to kill my mom, but like there's zero evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And even her gut feeling, like even as a movie watcher, I'm like, I mean, they're weird coincidences, like, but we don't know that it's him.
Right. Yeah, we have not. It's not like we saw him do a thing. It's like she thinks he's doing a thing, and we have evidence to believe it's him.
All we know is that he's cheating on mom, which isn't a good thing, but that doesn't make a murderer.
Right. So she's like in there writing on her diary, and the cop shows up to the house, and then Paul like peeks his head in, and he's like, "What you writing in there about all the times you're a pure on sex or full on sex freak?" And she's like, "Ugh, he's so creepy," and I'm like. This man's a maniac.
Yeah, I was like, maybe this is what you should be concerned about, not a murder plot. This is what you should be concerned about.
Yeah. We cut to school, and again with the bad ADR, we get two people who just start in on her about her dead friend.
You killed your friend because you're crazy and blah blah blah. And then when her dead friend's boyfriend defends her, they go, "We're just razzing." That's not razzing.
No. And the boyfriend, the friend's boyfriend is also the son of the chief of police, or the police commissioner, I think is his title. And so they're like, "Oh, the commissioner wants to talk to you." And so we get this scene where they're in the principal's office, and he just starts berating this girl, like, "You made this all up. It's all nonsense." And she's like, "Well, what about the motel?" And it's like, "Oh, he wasn't registered there and nobody saw him." And then a sentence later, he's like, "It's the kind of motel that everyone registers under a fake name and no one saw him there." It's like, well, then that doesn't prove anything, does it?
He goes, he wasn't at the motel. During the hit and run, he was with your mom. And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, so is mom in on this? Are they trying to kill Christy? Because there's no way, because the motel, they're at the motel. They run for, I don't know, probably a couple minutes through the woods.
Even if you gracefully say the car accident happens 20 minutes after they see each other at the ice machine, which I think is wild, but I guess not impossible.
Yeah. How would he have gotten all the way back to the dealership? Right, also, Chrissy, it was a red car, and we saw the slut driving a red car. So clearly she's the one who did it.
Right. And also at the end of this scene, before we move on.
Oh, no, we're not moving on. We're gonna make the same. We're talking about the same thing, I think. Have you ever
this chair?
Yeah. Have you ever seen those Haribo commercials where they get like little kids record dialogue and then whole ass adults just mouth it along? That's what it feels like. Like,
yes,
he's like, "I'm a police chief," and he sits in this chair. He starts like swiveling back and forth, like he's bored. His dad brought him to work, and he's bored.
It's like a Dr. Evil bit from Austin Powers, where he's like, "I can't. Why is the chair moving? Can somebody fix the damn chair? It just keeps swiveling. I'm trying to be menacing, and the chair won't stop moving." And it's just like, what is this man?
Cut to she's home alone, and Josh Daly shows up, sits next to her, and fully they start Frenching.
He hoovers this girl's face into his mouth.
She's also throwing her tongue.
She's into it.
She's throwing her tongue.
By the way, her friend's body isn't even cold yet.
No, it's still hot.
Yes.
And then so they pull. I was like, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "I couldn't help it. You were sitting so close." I was like, "You sat down next to her."
He sits like in her lap when he sits down.
Yes, he fully does.
And then she's like, "No, you should go." And then he starts to leave, and she's like, "Just kidding. I actually want this. Do you want to come up to my bedroom?" And we get this like swelling. It's like from here to eternity when they're rolling around in the surf on the beach.
It's just like,
it's like, what is this?
Like, this would be on the 90s compilation album of like 50 sweetest romantic movie scores.
Yes. Yeah. The romance of cinema.
Yeah. Every time I talk about those commercials, I always want to do the Celine Dion. So if I'm your lady, because that was definitely on one of those. That was always that fucking song.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. The one that I have found a compilation on Spotify for was Pure Moods, which has
the rivers and stuff, and the chimes, the wind chimes.
It's like a bunch of Enya tracks, and then inexplicably the theme from The Exorcist is in there.
That's probably an accident, I have to guess.
No. It's on the real CD. I looked it up because I was like, yes. If you look at the infomercial, there's a little tiny blip of Tubular Bells, and the announcer voice being like, "And tubular bells And I'm like, what the hell why is this on here? Your moods.
I always have such a hard time remembering.
I guess fear is a mood, so maybe that's it.
That's fair. Fear is a mood. But I always have a hard time remembering the tune of Tubular Bells because my brain always starts doing the Halloween theme.
Yep. Yeah.
And
yeah. Because it's similar enough in my head too.
There's like a staccato nature to it that I'm just like, I'll start to hum like, that's not Tubular Bells. That's Halloween.
Yeah. She has a Toots and the Maytals record, which I thought was kind of hip. They invented the word reggae. Okay. Toots did.
She tries for, I don't know, a millisecond to tell him about the pregnancy and decides, man, that's okay.
Also, she says my parents are at the Rotary Club, and so they come home. Mom's wearing like a fur and a very fancy dress. He's in a full ass tuxedo.
She's
like tails and all.
I wouldn't even say she's in like a Goodfellas like Gamon leopard print fur. Or whatever the fuck it is.
Gumar.
Whatever.
But yeah, she is absolutely. But I'm saying she's got like a big fur. They were at the Rotary Club. The Rotary Club is like small town ass hick shit. No offense intended to Rotary Clubs.
For this woman. Like she looks like she should be like, "Oh, Tony Soprano, I hate you. Go eat your gabagool."
He's in a tux with like a little scarf and the whole shebang. I'm just like, what is this? He's got shoes you can see yourself in. They're so shiny. And he just like comes to his stepdaughter's room where they're having like not a great first time.
It's bad. And I'm like, I wish I could go and be like, you have agency. You can say stop. You can just say, I don't want this.
I was going to say, there is like the smallest amount of like, he kind of like realizes that this is not going well and like asks her if she's okay, and he like checks in on her. And at the moment where he's like trying to do that, fucking Paul whips the door open and is like, "What are you two getting up to in here?"
Yeah. And now he's got blackmail on Christy.
Yes. And so she realizes she's bleeding. She's like, "I have to go in the bathroom." And he's like, "Wait, no, go to the bathroom." And she's like, "Why?" And he opens the bathroom door, opens the window, removes a towel, like fixes
under
the heater.
There's a towel wedged against the door.
Yes.
And then like, was it a water heater or was it just?
I think it's just a heater. I have been in places like rental properties, like out in West Virginia and areas that had these sort of like gas heaters in the rooms with individual nozzles, which always kind of scared the shit out of me, honestly.
And I was like, wait, so was he just trying to kill her then? He was just going to kill Christy?
He was going to kill her while she was home alone. They went out for their little party, and then she was going to go use the bathroom, and he was going to blow her up.
But I love that he didn't just, like, leave.
Well,
if he left the room, he was like, wait till I leave the room before you do that. And then he's just like...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Of course, we wouldn't have a movie then, but...
Yeah. But he, like, very... in front of her diffuses a bomb, which is truly bonkers.
And then it's just like, and then tries to gaslight her. Like,
yeah,
I know what you're talking
smelled gas. Yeah, you left a towel rolled up under the door. It's your fault.
The next day, Mom is like, Christy, we gotta go, and they have those like carpet runner bars.
Yeah,
that like you just twist and bolt in place, and one of them has been wrenched and curved so it sticks.
Yes,
it loops out.
Insane.
It's so wild. And Mom trips on it.
It's basically like a tripwire at chest height with like a 1 inch thick cord.
It's so stupid. And Mom's like, oh, I probably just bent it falling down the stairs. I was like, are you in an abusive relationship with your house now? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Also, as the girl and her mom are like having this conversation where she's like, Mom, this guy's bad news. Just behind them, I don't know if you caught this.
Oh, the people coming in?
Yeah. So the extras are like helping a person into bed, but instead of it just being like a regular person in a hospital gown, it's a guy in a suit and tie who looks like he got the shit kicked out of him with a baseball bat. He's got like a huge cut on his forehead. His eyes all black and bruised. He's got blood running down his face. And it's so distracting. Like they're having this important movie conversation. And then 6 feet behind them, a man is like, well, it's just 6 guys jumping and they stole my car, and just like, why is this in the movie? I was coming out of
the theater with my wife and son. Her pearls fell all over the ground.
I never should have taken that shortcut through Crime Alley.
Why do we have a place called Crime Alley anyways? Can we talk about that as we're talking about the infrastructure of our town?
I know it's like not the real name of it, but like colloquially we all call it Crime Alley. You'd think they'd like post a cop on either side of it for like
Add
safety
more
purposes.
lights or some shit. I don't know. I'm just spitballing as the wealthiest man in the world.
Couldn't like if the community like if the city can't put lights up, couldn't the community? There's like apartments on either side. Couldn't we like get together as a community and like hang some lights and stuff?
Or
like,
hell,
there's solutions.
I'll spend the $1,000. That's it. I lose that much in my couch every year. I'll use that money to buy some lights for Crime Alley.
So we cut to her again trying to catch the stepdad. And this time, I literally like, this girl seriously is doing this without a fucking camera again. And then she whips out the Polaroid camera. But she's so stupid. She opens the window.
Well, she has to because Polaroids always use flash.
Right. Well, that's true. But she doesn't have to put the camera fully in
Yeah, she doesn't have to lead it all the way inside.
It's fully inside. And it's then she, like Polaroids are loud as shit. Like first of all, you could probably put your hand over the flash and physically block it from like the glare and get the picture.
I think because I have an instant camera, and if there's no flash on stuff, it's just like you barely see anything.
Okay, well, even if that's all true, I still contend that she did this poorly.
She didn't have to lean all the way
in the room.
And also, she got some magic Polaroid that spits photos. The movie Polaroid spit them out.
It comes out the normal Polaroid way, but then she bangs the camera on the windowsill when they, of course, hear the.
No, I'm saying as she was pulling it out, it shouldn't have come out all the way. It takes quite a minute for Polaroids to actually like come out, but in movies they just like spit out like you just won jackpot in Vegas.
I thought I saw her like bang the camera, which dislodges the photo, but maybe it just.
No, it's like in the original Beetlejuice when Lydia's taking pictures of Adam and Barbara. The photos are like spitting out like she just hit the bar.
Yeah. So she evades the affair partner and her brother. And the brother finds the photo and he starts kicking the absolute shit out of this woman. And
I was like, he says he's in love. I was like, she's fucking her brother? And then, and then he's like, you're my wife. And I was like, oh, I really hope that means they're not related.
Right. And then there's a kind of hilarious scene where like she sneaks back into the house because she's trying to evade these two. She ends up in the bathroom and like this woman is being truly battered on the bathroom, like against the bathroom door. She ends up hiding in the tub and then these two like fall into the bathroom. They're still fighting and he's like, clean yourself up. And he reaches in and turns the tub on. And it's like the amount of drama and tension they get out of this is incredible because like, they're both, just to the other side of the curtain. Then she sits on the tub and starts breaking the curtain, like
they try and build tension because she puts her camera on the floor of the tub, and then they turn the water on, and she just looks at it and watches the water go towards the camera. And I was like, you can pick it up, like.
Right. Yeah.
There are no stakes here, Beth.
There's a strap. Put the camera around your neck. It's fine. So eventually, there's like a commotion. It turns out that it's
Josh Daly.
Josh Daly? Thank you. At the front door, like doing some
subterfuge.
Trying to help her out. She climbs out the window. The husband grabs her, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And he hands her the photo, and is like, "Here, take care of this." And it was like, "Oh, okay." So he's like mad at this whole game. He wants it to be over. No, he's hoping this will speed up that girl getting murdered.
Yeah. She runs into she sees Josh Daly on the street, and again we get that.
They do like a big swirly hug.
It's so weird.
Like he literally picks her up under the arms and twirls her around. Her skirt flies up. It's crazy.
She goes home. Paul and her stepdad immediately assaults her.
She also swears off sex forever with any partner, which I did find funny.
What annoys me is that they don't use that later like they should. We'll get there, but she explicitly says, "I'm sorry, I don't want to have sex with you or anyone ever again. I didn't enjoy it."
Yeah.
We'll get to what she should have said later, but
yeah. Because Josh Daly is like, it won't be like last time or like in the photo. We'll make love. It was such a weird.
I'm like, all right, calm down, 17-year-old.
Yes.
Also, maybe she wants it like in the photo.
Yeah, maybe she does. You don't know. You haven't asked her. So yeah, stepdad starts beating her up,
and mom in her cane and her cast is like, "Stop it! What's wrong?"
This is like something out of the
Baby Jane
fucking documentary. Yeah, I was gonna say that documentary you talk about all the time with the women in the headscarves, the Kennedy.
Oh, it is very Grey Gardens.
Yeah, it's just like she's like, "What are you doing, Paul? What's the meaning of this?" And she goes like running over to mom. She's like, "He's cheating on you," and he's like, "This girl's insane." She's like, "I have proof," and she picks the picture up and holds it out to her mom.
And so then she runs away, and Paul goes to mom, and so many of the slaps and hits and kicks in this movie are weak as fuck and fake looking, and it drives me nuts.
Yes, yeah.
But then I got very confused.
He gives her like a full-on speech of like, "I never liked you. I think you're fucking scum. I tricked you into leaving your husband and marrying me so that I could kill you and steal your money because you're a huge."
But he also says it wasn't about your money, and I was like, "Well, then what was it
about?" Humiliating her.
Huh?
He wanted to humiliate her. He was like, "You and your rich family drove all around town in your big car, and all I ever wanted was to bring you down."
Yeah, I was just like, I did not get all that. It was like, there's that, and there's like, it's not for your money, and I was like, but shouldn't it have been for the money? Like, isn't that kind of a key factor here, sir?
So he leaves. Mom like has a nervous breakdown on the couch, and I'm like, boop boop. How the fuck is there 40 minutes left in this narrative? Like, what is happening?
What are we doing?
It turns out this movie has a full-on From Dusk Till Dawn. It's just two movies joined together in the middle.
Well, no, the third act turns into oh shit, Audrey Hepburn and
Alone in the Dark, I believe is the title.
Or Wait Until Dark. Wait Until Dark.
Okay.
Yeah. All the third
Great movie, by the way.
What?
Great movie.
Oh yeah. Audrey Hepburn is smuggling drugs.
No. Audrey Hepburn's partner is smuggling drugs in the doll. She has no idea.
Oh, I knew blind. She wasn't actually. She has a doll. A smuggling doll.
So these burglars break into her house.
All of a sudden, the three from hell show up at the house.
Yeah, it's very Rob Zombie. We see them walking up the driveway, and it's like, oh shit, this is gonna be really bad. I thought we were getting into like Last House on the Left territory now.
I did too. They get in there and they say we're gonna stage a robbery. They throw mom in the wheelchair down the basement stairs.
They throw mom out of the wheelchair twice in 1 minute. They do it in the living room and then again onto the down the basement
I'm
stairs.
really hoping there was a very enthusiastic stunt person on the movie.
Yes.
And then they were just like, I'm really good at falling downstairs.
Yeah. She's taken two big stair tumbles in this movie.
It's like the wheelchair down the stairs one, like literally her legs go over her head and she's like fully ass over tea kettle.
I was like, is that a dummy? Because it was so wild, but I really don't think it was. If it was a dummy, it was like the best dummy I've ever seen. I think it was a stunt person.
Yeah.
So presumably a stunt woman.
Mom and Christy try and go out the storm door, or as we call them, the Bilko doors on our house. Is it the same thing?
I believe so, yes. I believe in movies, storm doors always seem to be made out of wood, and ours were like metal. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the difference.
Oh, maybe.
Like Bilko maybe is a brand name.
So it's so stupid. She like runs across and there's that sweeping music and she touches the door and she like turns and looks back at mom and mom's like, you got this. And I'm like, she's opening a door. She's not cracking a code. She's not hacking into the mainframe. She's pushing on a push door.
Right.
And she pushes open and stepdad Paul is immediately there to shut the door. Like Millie in that episode of Bob's Burgers with the dumpster.
Yes.
And so Christy's like, all right, Hail Mary. They're not brother and sister. They're married and they fucking hate you and they're going to blackmail you once you kill us.
Yes.
So have fun, Dick.
Also, he's like, your daughter's a slut. I caught her fucking that Josh Haley kid.
I thought that was going to come into play. There was some weird morality thing.
Like a Carrie situation. But she's like, Josh loved me. And I'm like, wait, he did? He was dating your best friend 7 hours previously.
Also, he's a 17-year-old boy. I wouldn't trust a damn thing he says before getting you in bed. Sorry to say that, but girl.
But also, so Paul has his suspicions now, and he's like, I have to investigate this.
This
the movie
shot
has the funniest fucking insert shot that I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's like something out of a Mel Brooks movie.
Yes. Where he's like, honey, can you pass the ketchup? And he's like, Paul cocks his head at honey. And then she hands him the ketchup, and we get this insert shot. I'm not even sure if it's the actors. I don't know if you...
In my 32 years on this earth, as a person with hands, I have taken a lot of things that someone else has handed to me, and never once, not even with an actual romantic partner, have I ever caressed up and down their hands several times before taking the item they handed me.
I don't know if you ever saw this movie. I watched it a couple of times. Don Juan DeMarco with Johnny Depp and
I know of it, but I've never seen it.
He thinks he's Don Juan DeMarco, and he I don't remember the details of the movie, but there's like a couple of scenes in the movie where he like is doing like his suave Johnny Depp accent thing, like this French, whatever, and he's like
Cajun.
He's like rubbing this woman's fingers as if they were her legs, and like describing the way that he makes love to women as he like goes like up to the big knuckle that's representing the knee, and then like rubs the joint between her fingers. And it's like very obvious what the movie is doing and what Johnny Depp's like little spiel is. That is maybe less absurd than this ketchup handoff. And that is pretty fucking ridiculous.
It's so weird. So Paul immediately goes downstairs and is like, hey, slut, prove what you said. And she's like,
yeah.
How?
Yeah. Like,
I don't know what you want from me, dog.
He's like, just prod him into it, and I'll gauge how they react. And so she comes upstairs. He's like, she's going to make blueberry pancakes. And the other woman's like, I could make blueberry pancakes. He's like, no, she's the best blueberry pancake maker.
She gets down weird.
It's a box of pancake mix, so like everybody's pancakes are identical. He gets down she gets it down, and then she turns and she goes, so how long have you guys been married?
Like, I thought there was going to be some kind of subterfuge or some kind of tact.
Anything. Yeah. How long have you guys been married? And she's like, oh, we're not married. And then the brother almost immediately gives up the ghost. She's like, I heard.
She barely has to say, like, no, I heard you. Like, I was in the bathroom when he was beating the shit out of you. I heard everything. They kick the shit out of Paul. And Chrissy stays for way too long.
Yes.
I was like, get out of there, girl.
Yeah. Or like, get involved. Like, get the gun. Like, do something. The gun's on the floor. Like, start shooting.
Or run to the fireplace, get a poker, bring back in, start swinging.
Right.
So now Paul's just fucked because they're like, yeah. Now he's got a lot of convincing bruises, and we beat him up after we killed you two as robbers.
Right. She gets like I made this reference earlier, but she gets like a psych level confession where like every episode of that show practically ends with a person just confessing to the heinous crimes that they've committed. Pretty much exactly what happens there.
Yeah.
Before the fight.
She goes, they get her back downstairs. Mom goes, maybe you can squeeze through the bars that I broke the window earlier. And I was like, those bars are 4 inches apart.
Right. She's not Alex Mack. Like she's not getting out of there.
She isn't goo. She's not Oobleck that she can just
And she's like, no, I'm gonna have to kill him. And I was like, in my head,
I love this line.
This is the part where it goes to the like, I don't know what the actual piece of music is called, but in my head it's like the set in the trap is what I would call it on the album for Home Alone, where Kevin like runs around and does all the booby traps in the house.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, this basement is full of dangerous shit. Like everywhere we look, there's a rake over there. There's a
rusty
pitchfork.
things.
Yeah. It's like, there's all sorts of stuff you could use as a weapon. So I was like, oh shit, she's going to do like a Kevin McAllister to like get a couple of them going down the stairs. No, it's like the most convoluted plan.
But also what pisses me off is she stabs to maim. And I'm like, girl, stab to kill.
Yeah, she stabs Paul in the top of the thigh. And I'm like, if you went in the inside, he'd be dead.
Well, and then
you'd have one less
she's
person.
In the kitchen and Side Piece's husband brother is in there. And she like kind of slashes his arm and then runs away.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes,
no.
Yeah. And also that part really annoyed me because she's like perfectly hidden and he keeps coming closer and closer. And then she jostles one of the fucking pans. It's like, come on, what are you doing?
Because like if you literally said, I guess I'm going to have to kill them. Kill them.
Right.
Like I'm a person that like, it sucks to have to think like this, as I always say, but like a queer person 2024, if I'm at a bar, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to kill someone who comes in here with a gun if I need to do that.
Yeah.
If a push comes to shove, stab and twist, stab and twist.
Yeah, yeah. So she like, the ruse is like, I have to go to the bathroom. Mom kills the power, and then once the power is out, she's doing the Audrey Hepburn Alone in the Dark. Wait until dark. Bit where it's like I actually think this part's kind of effective. Like they don't know where she is, and honestly, it's way better if like Christy kills them. Like at least one of them. Like if she just gets like even if it's like she pushes one over the railing and they fall down the stairs. It's like it's like a less active killing where she's not like stabbing someone to death, which I understand why they maybe don't want the protagonist to do. But it's this like kind of fun cat and mouse. But because she doesn't get any of them, it feels kind of wasted to me. Like it's sort of spinning the wheels.
Yeah, and then they do the classic like old movie stage play thing where Paul flicks on a lighter and every light in the house turns on.
The fucking sun descended into the atrium. It's so bright. Later, there's another sequence
with the shadow. Are you talking about the fucking shadow on the wall?
Yes. And they have
so if you find the movie on YouTube, it's 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 51 seconds. The light that the lighter is supposed to be emitting is making a shadow of his hand on the wall behind him.
Oh, yes. But also, like, the light that they are using to mimic it that creates that shadow is this enormous square that just is the whole hallway, basically. It's so bright.
Dumb. Christy grabs a Swiss Army knife, which I was like, okay, I guess.
I mean, something.
She sets up the bathroom, and then immediately leaves, and I was like, oh, well, I thought we were going to get something.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like her hiding in the tub, but the size of the explosion they do from this later makes this so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also got a couple
I love
words.
it. Like, yeah. But British, so that's just like normal over there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in the gay community, it's said a lot too, so I'm not shocked by it anymore.
I also got really mad too because like Mom is downstairs, she turned the lights off, and then she doesn't like hide with the weapon. She just stands next to the box. The other woman comes down and pistol whips her and turns the lights back on. It's like you had infinite choices. You could have like waited by the stairs and tried to get him with the ankles and trip him down the stairs.
Get the skis that I know are in this fucking basement.
Yes,
hold it there so that as soon as they come down the stairs, just slide it out, and then they trip on it and go down ass over tea kettle.
Right, and like just keep hitting them until they stop moving. Like, what are you doing?
No one has I was like, look, you gotta do it. You said you were gonna kill them. You know you have to kill them. They're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You do it first.
Yeah, and my wife and I watch a lot of horror movies, and like she makes fun of me because of how often I say this, but it's like you don't have to get that close to check. Just keep hitting them. Like, what's the worst that happens? You like overkilled a person, and the police come. And they're like, "Wow, you like cut that guy's head off," and I was like, "Well, I wasn't to make sure he was dead."
Yeah, what was I supposed to do? Go out, get up close to him and tap him on the chest?
Put 2 fingers to his neck and see if his pulse is still going. Like, no, I wanted to make sure he was fucking dead. He tried to kill me.
Do you think he would have killed me less? Do you think he would have done less to kill me?
Exactly. Yeah.
So Josh shows up at the door. He had called earlier, and the stepdad tried to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And so this is where I was saying she wasn't clear enough in her lies. I was like, you literally said yesterday, I don't want to have sex with you or anyone else again. All you have to say now is, it's like I told you yesterday. I just want to have sex with anyone but you.
Yes.
Then he knows you're lying and something is wrong.
Instead, there's this like voiceover telekinesis attempt where she's like trying
Josh,
to carry
I hope you
this
understand
man.
I'm lying. And I was like, or just lie better.
But she also, it's like the guy says get rid of him. She took that as Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Let me read you to filth.
She's like, I don't want your little boy pencil dick bullshit. I want a man. Get out of here.
Pencil dick motherfucker. Like, it's wild. And he somehow knows, he's like, oh, she's in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess.
So she goes back down the basement. She starts working on the fuse box, and at the moment where I was like, how the hell does she know how to do this? The mom asks it so she can be like, I took shop class. All the girls made fun of me, but I learned more there than almost anything I took in all of school. And it's like,
and also this is what what stepdad did earlier. So she's just copying his homework and changing it up a little bit.
She does a little bit more elaborate. Like, it's very clear she knows a little bit about how electricity functions, like, you know, the wires and the grounding and stuff. But it's like I was waiting for her to turn around and look at the camera and be like, that's why, kids, you should consider trade schools instead of college. It's going to be just as rewarding of a career
just looks
that can
over
provide you a lifetime
I'm a woman in
benefit.
STEM.
Yeah. So I love that there's a water pipe directly over this. I'm sure this is real in some houses for various reasons, but it's just very silly to have water directly over the electric box.
Or at the very least, you shouldn't have a valve on your water pipe.
Yes.
You can have a water pipe near your electrical box, but you shouldn't have a valve there.
So she gets this water going, and then at the point where she was talking about having taken the shop class, I was like, well, it's too bad you didn't take bio, because you'd have been a lot better at stabbing people.
Yes! The lights cut out. Mom hides. Christy goes upstairs, and the side piece's brother husband is like, you go fix the lights, side piece. And just as he's about to kill Mom, the side piece full on Marvs from Home Alone.
Yes.
Like, I'm genuinely surprised there wasn't an in-shirt shot of a skeleton in her costume.
It is that over the top. It's crazy. This woman goes for gusto here of just, like,
and they clearly
the
just
full
have
body
a fan
shake
behind her blowing her hair.
Yes.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, float up. It, like, blows. It's like the old Maxell commercials. Like, is it live or is it Maxell
Yes,
in the stereo? The guy's getting blown
I always
back.
think of those as MTV ad, the guy in the chair, right?
Yeah, no, it's Maxell tapes.
Okay.
Or stereo. I assume the tapes.
Josh brings his dad back just as
I have to say, this 1-2 punch of, like, the explosion death and the electrocution death are amazing. Like, really very good for the horror movie.
I love it. But we get another of the lighter lighting up the whole house bit.
Yes, yeah.
And stepdad comes in the room. As he's about to find Christy under the bed, she, like, rolls a ball at the bathroom door, so he thinks she's in there. And then he just, like, shoves the door open with the lighter. Not even thinking about the fact that he did. You were going to do this to her, dude. You showed her a trap. You gave her a blueprint for this.
Yeah.
And
so it is an unbelievable explosion that happens. A fireball. And the dad and Josh Daly are, like, underneath it when it happens. And the dad's like, we got to get in there. Go, go, go.
It's like the amount of gas that came out in that small amount of time makes me concerned about there being a gas leak in the house.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, she did open the valve. Remember, she, like, got the thing fully opened. So it was just like a pipe spewing gas. It wasn't just like a little leak.
Josh Daly comes up and saves her. Mom gets saved by Mr. Daly, the police chief. And I was like, we don't get to see Lacey get got. And then we smash cut to Christy in bed, recovering, and Mom's like,
almost like the scene at the end of Ferris Bueller, by the way, while we're making comparisons to Ferris Bueller.
Fair. Or kind of the last scene in Carrie.
Yeah, that's true.
Mom's like, hey, I'm going to go back to the house with Mr. Commissioner. Josh Daly's coming by in a bit. And I was like, oh, it's not Josh Daly. It's going to be the side piece's brother husband. Sure. And then it is Josh. And I was like, well, this is confusing.
It's a fake out into a make out, which you don't see that often.
Into a fake out. A fake out into a make out into a fake out.
Yeah. Also, is this Josh's blood on the pillow?
I don't know whose blood this is.
Okay. It's like the way that this is done is like the scene in Alien when it's like, oh shit, the alien's right above us and like the acid blood is dripping down.
I think it's very recently after the house explosion, so it could be his hand bleeding from the Swiss Army knife.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. Because he conks Josh in the head with like a candlestick, basically.
And then Christy just pulls a knife out from under her pillow and finally stabs to kill.
Yeah.
Deep in the gut, twist, pull out, and go again.
Yeah. Yeah, she like wiggles it around in there, and he has like the blood out of the mouth, classic movie death. And I was like, damn, what an ending. And we got to the credits.
Kick you the ending in the back of the knees. I was so mad.
Oh wait, when she called the
line, I hate the line.
Kind of funny.
I
thought it was kind of funny. She calls her house and she has to speak to the commissioner, and they put the commissioner on the line, and she's like, I think this time you might believe me. I thought that was good. I thought that was like a good fuck you.
To me, that seemed more like she should take off her sunglasses and it goes, yeah!
Exactly right.
That's not what I want from this Nancy Drew ass movie.
I loved it. I thought that was great. But then we cut to credits, and it is truly one of the worst songs I've ever heard.
I turned it off. I didn't hear it, so you gotta fill me in.
It's a song written for this movie where it's like, Christy, maybe next time. No, it's like, maybe next time they'll listen to you, Christy.
No way!
It's like a song recapping the movie, and I was like, okay, maybe there's a world in which this is like a weird, obscure song. I'm doing Soundtown or the listen to the song
Shazam.
on your phone app. Shazam, thank you. It's not pulling up anything, so I skip all the way to the end, and it's just like the song is just called Christy, and then the person who sang it with no other information. So for sure, it was written for this movie, maybe by John Paul Jones. Yeah, it's unbelievably ridiculous. I highly recommend you pop that back on to listen to that.
I will.
I'm giving this an enthusiastic recommendation.
Hell yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie. I honestly, like, halfway through was like, oh man, like this might be a good one with friends. Like, it's got such a lot of touch points for different people of like the Nancy Drew thing and the insane music. Like, it just seems like a really fun, friends watching a horror movie together situation. But
totally,
yeah, what a fun, wacky movie. Like, really wild and out there, and just a great time. So I highly encourage you to check this one out, especially because it's so easy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Good performances, great villain work. Everything about this I enjoyed.
It's shocking that more people from this movie didn't like go on to do more stuff.
Yeah, and then I've never heard of it either. Like, not even as like underrated 80s horror kind of thing. Never had this one come across my recommendations list anywhere. So yeah, go seek this one out. That brings us to the end of Listener Request Month, but we will be back in 2 weeks with the annual Spooktacular, although it's been sort of a spooktacular Listener Request Month here. And as we said before, we'll get to Bloodsport, the first episode in December, so keep an eye out for that. Our next episode to kick off Listener Request Month is the 40th anniversary celebrating Nightmare on Elm Street. So track that down. And we'll be going to visit Mr. Krueger and talking about that. I have watched some other Freddy's recently, so we can Freddy vs. Jason, which I don't know that I've ever actually seen all the way through.
Oh, really? It's a product of its time.
Yeah. We'll talk a little about that, I'm sure. Visit us on Facebook at Dissect the 80s on Twitter or X, and Dissecting the 80s on Instagram. You can follow us there. Let us know where you'd like us to be. I don't know shit about social media. I'm asking for help, so let us know the best way to get a hold of you. Thank you all for supporting the show. Visit patreon.com/Dissecting the 80s to support us more and get more episodes of this show. I think that wraps it up. We will see you in 2 weeks. I have been Trip Lano.
I will always be Andrew Lano.
Until next time.
Don't you forget about me.
Dissecting the 80s is a Chum Some of This production.